So many companies see sustainability as just another box to tick, maybe a cost of doing business. But what if it's actually your biggest competitive advantage, just hiding in plain sight? Today, we're going to lay out the roadmap to turn sustainability from an obligation into a core driver of your company's future. So let's just jump right in and tackle the big question head on. Is all this just about feeling good, or is there real value on the table here? Well, the answer is pretty clear. A smart sustainability plan delivers tangible business results, and honestly, they're probably more powerful than you think. And here's the thing, this isn't just fluff. A strong strategy does way more than just polish your brand image. I mean, sure, that's part of it, but that improved image helps you attract the absolute best talent. It helps you win deeper customer loyalty. This isn't about PR. It's this powerful cycle that directly boosts your competitive edge and really sharpens your long-term planning. But to really unlock all this, you've got to make a big shift in how you think. We have to stop seeing sustainability as some kind of chore and start treating it as a massive opportunity. And that all begins with a super clear understanding of what a strategy actually is in the first place. Yeah, forget all those vague, fluffy mission statements. A real strategy is a focused, prioritized set of actions. Think of it like this. It's your investment plan for sustainability. It tells you exactly where to put your time, your money, and your energy to get the biggest possible return. And honestly, this is probably the single biggest trap that most companies fall into. They try to do everything. They create this giant laundry list of activities and end up doing nothing particularly well. A truly effective strategy cuts right through all that noise. It's about making some tough, smart choices. This quote just nails it, doesn't it? Real strategy isn't about just making a list. It's about having the clarity and the guts, really, to say, these are the few issues where we're going to lead. And just as importantly, these other things we're not going to focus on right now. Without that focus, your efforts are just going to be diluted and, frankly, ineffective. Okay, so if focus is the name of the game, how in the world do you find it? Well, that brings us right to step one on our roadmap, figuring out exactly where you stand today. It sounds so obvious, I know, but you can't exactly plug a destination into your GPS if you don't know where you're starting from, right? Same thing here. For sustainability, this means getting a really honest, data-driven look at your company's current footprint, the good, the bad, and everything in between. Now, the main tool that you'll use for this is something called a materiality analysis. It sounds complicated, but it's really just a smart process for figuring out which environmental and social issues matter the most, both to your business's bottom line and to the people who depend on you, like your customers, your employees, and your investors. And what you get out of this analysis, it's absolute gold. It gives you a clear, prioritized list of your key impacts, risks, and opportunities. This becomes your North Star. This is your focus. This is where you can make the biggest difference and create the most value. All right, so once you've done that analysis and you've got that laser focus, it's time to get ambitious. Step 2 is all about translating that focus into some really powerful, actionable goals. And listen, this part is absolutely non-negotiable. Your sustainability goals can't just be some side project. They've got to be baked right into the DNA of your company, into its core purpose and values. Because if they're not, trust me, they'll be the very first thing to get cut when the budget gets tight. And to make sure these goals aren't just wishful thinking, we lean on the good old SMART framework. It's a simple tool, but it's powerful because it forces you to create targets that are specific, measurable, and have a deadline. That's how you track progress and actually hold yourselves accountable. Let's take a look at a real-world example. See how QNB organizes its entire strategy around these 3 clear pillars? A framework like this is so useful because it groups all of their specific goals into these logical themes, which makes the whole strategy way easier to communicate and manage. Okay, here's something that trips a lot of people up, so let's clear it up right now. The difference between a target and a KPI. It's simple, really. The target is your destination. It's what you're trying to achieve. The KPI is your dashboard. It's the metric you watch to see if you're on the right track. A Unilever gives us a fantastic, super clear example of this in action. Their target, their big, ambitious goal, was to have consumer water use. That's the destination. But how did they know if they were making progress? They tracked the KPI, liters per consumer use. That KPI is the live data that tells them if what they're doing is actually working.
See the difference? So, you've found your focus, you've set your goals, but a strategy that just sits on a shelf collecting dust is totally worthless. Now comes the hard part, the moment of truth, implementation. This is where you actually make it all happen.
And let me be absolutely crystal clear about this. This is not a job for some small, siloed sustainability department. For a strategy like this to really work, it has to be a company-wide team project. I'm talking from the CEO all the way down to the newest intern. Everybody has a role to play.
When you boil it all down, successful implementation really comes down to two simple things: commitment and clarity. You need that unwavering commitment from the top, which you see through proper funding and resources. And then you need absolute clarity for everyone else. Clear responsibilities, clear communication, and clear training so people know exactly what's expected of them.
And that brings us to our final and maybe most important step. A great strategy isn't some static document you create once and then file away. No, it's a dynamic, living loop of constant measurement and evolution.
Seriously, you have to think of your strategy as a living, breathing document. Why? Because the world doesn't stand still, does it? Customer expectations change, new technologies pop up, regulations get updated. Your strategy has to be agile enough to adapt to all of that, or it's going to become irrelevant really, really fast.
And that evolution is all driven by a constant feedback loop. You are relentlessly watching your KPIs to see what's working and what isn't. You're communicating those results with total transparency, the wins and the losses. You use that data to make smart adjustments, and you're actively listening to your stakeholders to find your next big opportunity.
So, let's tie this all together. At the end of the day, an effective sustainability strategy isn't a side project. It's not a collection of random good deeds. It's a focused, deeply integrated plan that's designed from the ground up to create real, lasting value for your business and for society as a whole.
Which really brings us to the one question that's underneath all of this. Because the true starting point for any great strategy isn't a spreadsheet, it's an honest answer to this question. Beyond just making a profit, what is your company's real reason for being?